Hello everybody, I'm here doing another reading from my book Ballad of the Northland, and these are the readings that we're doing are taken completely without context because I'd like to get people sort of acquainted with, kind of like a teaser. I'd like to get people acquainted with the flavor of the writing and give them a little hint as to what the story's about, but it's not really meant to be too heavily analyzed. Just, enjoy it and kind of go with it. This is a very short passage I'm going to read. The whalers' mates turned out to be stepbrothers, 4 in all, and the youngest not much older than the boy himself. They wore an odd combination of traditional coastal gear, fur-lined parkas with small hood openings designed to cup the face of the wearer, and modern refrigerator insulated bibs. The whaler himself was garbed from head to toe in luxurious spotted sealskin, devoid of any embroidery or beadwork. A short and powerfully built man, he was never without a long, bone-handled cutter fashioned from soft steel and strapped to a broad leather belt at his waist. The troop's first order of business was to fashion accommodations for themselves. Working as a team, they excavated 3 large hemispheres all the way to the bare frozen earth, and then brought in huge armloads of the straightest willow poles that they could find, stripped and peeled and no thicker than a man's thumb at the base. They fashioned these into low domes, bases planted into the ground, and tops bent and interwoven, lashed together with crude strips of some pliable animal hide. These strange cages were then plastered with mounds of wet, slushy snow, and sculpted and tamped down by hand until the walls were at least a foot thick and compacted to the point of becoming ice, leaving only a constricted chimney at the exact pinnacle and a low aperture at the front, which would necessitate a man to belly crawl upon entering. Covering this with a flap of the same hide used to bind the peak. Inside were 2 bunks, one on either side of a narrow aisle, made from spruce poles welded into the walls and covered with tufts of dead grass, cured over a fire. There was a small shelf built into the back wall, and upon this was placed a wide pan with deep sides, into which was poured several quarts of some liquefied animal fat. A shank of porous material about a foot in length was dipped into this bath, and in one end left to dangle over the edge, and lit to pop and smolder. The end result was a smokeless residence, warm enough to disrobe and recline half naked, while one's clothes dripped dry from pegs driven into the ceiling, and light enough to read a book inside. He likes it. This construction was started and completed before the sun had passed midway point of its trip along the horizon, and to say that the boy was impressed would be the understatement of the century. The whaler noted the boy's undisguised admiration and grinned hugely. "Your days of wearing wet gear to bed and freezing your tail off all night instead of sleeping are over. From now on, this will be your bunk," he said, and indicated the one across from his own. "This is amazing," said the boy. I've lived in the bush my entire life, and I've never seen anything like this, not even close." "Well, now you have, and from now on you'll never have that excuse again." And cut.